Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well, and I hope you're ready for the weekend. It's Friday. Enjoy whatever you're going to do over the weekend. Right now, we are going to be going live with a fairy tale fashion designer all the way from the US who is going to be joining us and talking to us about fashion and why she inspired with the fashion within the fairy tale sort of Disney kind of fairy tale industry to apply that into her fashion and show us what she does. So let's go live with Elizabeth Hugen. Here we go.
Hi,
Elizabeth,
here, let me move this. How are you?
good, good. And yourself?
Oh, I'm fine. How are you? I just asked you that.
Are you
It's a
well?
busy day.
Busy day. It's just started in the US, right? It's just 10 o'clock out there.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. here. I'm in California.
Super. But thank you so much for taking out your time and coming on this live session with us today to share the knowledge and spread positivity in terms of what you do in the fashion industry. It's going to be absolutely amazing knowing about what you do.
Of course.
Super. So before we move forward with our conversation, if you can introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do, and then we can get going.
Okay, so my name is Lizzie, and I am a fashion blogger and aspiring designer. I've been blogging and Instagramming for over 5 years, and I also just started a YouTube channel, so I'm kind of everywhere.
Okay.
And aside from that, I am also a retired guitar instructor. I taught for a really long time, like 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was before you started with your fashion blogging and fashion designing, or was that consistent? Both you were doing it simultaneously?
I was doing both at the same time.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Uh, so, Lizzie, I just want to take you back a few years into your childhood and when we're going to school, college, university, we always see different careers in front of us, like, for example, an architect or lawyer or an engineer or, a doctor. Did you ever aspire to be one of these careers, or no, from the start, you were very fashion driven and into that artist kind of mode to move along with that career?
Yes, so I've had an interesting journey. I have always wanted to be a fashion designer, and I've wanted to do that from a really young age. I've always been able to draw and sketch, and I really liked doing portraits and figure drawing, and I really liked clothes, so it was just a really natural fit. And I did try different paths of trying to reach that dream, and I had a lot of obstacles. And so when I found blogging, that was kind of like my way into the fashion industry, I guess.
Okay.
But it actually became its own thing. I didn't even know that blogging could be a career. And even though I still want to pursue the fashion design, it's really great that I've found something that I love just as much. And I also did try to look into other careers. I love science, so I actually looked into being a geologist. And then I
Wow.
also took some classes for architecture, but this was after I already had a bachelor's degree, and so I realized I would have to pretty much do
Take
a lot
out,
more
take out,
schooling.
take out more time into studies and just keep on studying, right?
Yeah, so I really like owning my own business, and I think it's a great fit for me. So I'm just going to keep doing that.
That's super. Um, so I guess you graduated from university in the fashion designing sort of degree, I guess.
Actually, so there isn't, I did get into a really prestigious art school, but at the time I wasn't able to go. It was located a few hours away from me, and just my life during that time, I just wasn't able to go. So what
Okay.
I did is I went to the local four-year university and I created my own major.
Okay.
So I majored in art, studio art,
Okay.
specifically sculpture. So what I did in my sculpture class is I created dresses out of pretty much anything you can think of, newspaper, like screen,
I mean,
foil.
I've seen some of the dresses that you have on your profile. I mean, they are
Oh,
really amazing of
thank
what you do,
you.
and you put those different colors and patterns into that. It's super. I mean, anyone who is right now on this live, do if you're interested into fashion, do check out Lizzie's profile, and I'm sure you will love it. And
Thank you.
if you're a woman, then I'm sure you are going to love it. Um, so once you graduated within from university, how was it sort of applying your skills, and what did you do out there to get into that career path that you always dreamt of?
Okay, so I should also mention that my minor was in marketing.
Okay.
So I use both of them now. And
Okay.
when I graduated with my degree, I wasn't able to find a job in the industry. I don't live in a place where there's a lot of fashion jobs, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
You
So
should
I
have
just,
you should have tried London.
yeah, I wish. Yeah, that would be great.
London's like the
um,
hub of fashion, right? You get
yeah,
to meet
yeah, I
so, I mean,
know.
it's so metropolitan that you get to see fashions from all over the world, like all the way from New Zealand to the US. It's all there. So
Oh yeah, and I love London. It's
yeah,
a beautiful place.
absolutely. So sorry, you were talking about
Oh yes. So I just created pretty much my own job. So with blogging, I use both of those. I use my artistic background to style outfits and create. I've been creating a lot of backdrops for my photos, and
okay.
I do all the photo editing and I do all the product photography. And these are just skills that I've learned over time. And then for the marketing, I pretty much do everything myself when it comes to that arena. I'm the one reaching out to brands and negotiating and pretty much just keeping my business running.
And how long have you been running the business that you're doing currently?
Since I began, so over 5 years.
Wow, that's super. And you mentioned that you were also teaching guitar. You know,
Yeah, so
I had a musician yesterday who's into that acoustic guitar singing and music, and she was talking about her guitars and she's got a collection of them. So how was it? How was it? And how was it teaching? And who were you teaching?
yeah, so I taught for 14 years. I started my business right out of high school, and I have taught hundreds of students from ages 5 to 75.
Wow.
And I teach all styles. So I actually started off, most people start off on acoustic, but I started off on electric guitar. And just by looking at my pictures, you wouldn't think that I would be able to play like
Electric
Metallica or
guitar.
anything like that. But
Yeah.
I'm a rocker. And
Wow.
so from there, I went to acoustic, and I also play bass and ukulele, banjo, and violin. So pretty much anything with strings. And I don't know, I really loved it. But over time, I developed carpal tunnel. And then with my blog, it just consumed more of my life as it grew. And so, being that I always wanted to be in fashion industry, I
Okay.
decided to dedicate more of my time to my blog rather than to my guitar lessons.
Of
And
course.
I still play in my free time, so all
But
hope's not lost.
you just played for yourself. You don't teach anyone anymore or anything like that.
Correct.
Super. So coming back to your fashion, I mean, what inspired you to design such amazing, like you mentioned in your blog or on your website, that fairy tale inspiration that you've taken. Where did you get that inspiration from, and why the fairy tale fashion?
So it's really funny because it just kind of went in that direction without a plan. Like I didn't
I mean,
expect
I've
it to
never
go in
seen
that
anyone
direction.
design clothes like these. So this is like the first time I've ever seen someone doing it. And to be honest, you're doing an amazing job. Literally. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you so
there are so
much. I
many
really appreciate that.
people can take so much inspiration from the designs that you have. It's super amazing. So yes, we were talking about
Thank you.
getting into how did you get that inspiration from to get into that fairy tale fashion industry.
Yes, so when I started my blog, I don't know. I guess it's just my aesthetic and my taste. Just everything that I posted, it kind of just became like this fairy tale world of its own, and I didn't mean for it to be that way. But I was getting comments from a lot of my longtime readers, and they were telling me how they loved visiting my blog because it was an escape for them and it made them feel like they were in a fairy tale. And so
Okay.
I'm like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And so I kind of just went with that and branded myself as that kind of blogger. And yeah, the rest is history.
We've got a question here by Cause Beads, and they're asking, this is going to pick your brain. Any tips on
Sure.
negotiating with big brands?
Okay, so I think it depends on a lot of factors.
How do you go out and pitch yourself to these big brands? Let's put it that way.
Okay, so I'm really picky with my brands since my style is very niche and I have a very specific style. I also have a very specific
Let me
audience.
guess, Disney's your biggest client.
I wish they're my biggest dream client. um, yeah, so I think for me, whenever I started out, I would tag brands organically. So in my posts, if I was wearing a specific brand, I would tag them.
Okay.
And since I tend to wear a lot of the same brands, they would get tagged all the time. And then eventually they would take notice and I would reach out to them or they would reach out to me and I would say, hey, and since it looks organic, since I was already a customer of that brand, it just became a more authentic and genuine partnership.
Of
And
course.
so I think that's really important. I
And this
wouldn't
was
go
all
out.
done via your Instagram profile, or was it like by blogging as well and mentioning their name in the blogs? How did you go out and tag these brands in your posts?
Both. So
Okay,
everything I put on my Instagram, I usually put on my blog as well. So I would link
okay,
to their items wherever they're sold, and then for Instagram, I would tag in the picture all the time. Sometimes tag in the caption,
okay.
and
And that's how you sort of get these big brands to make them aware that look, I'm your model. I am
yeah,
wearing your clothes. Leave the other models behind. You need me. So that's absolutely amazing to know. I mean, I've been doing that occasionally as well, where if I wear something or I eat something or I go out and see a property and I know the developer is on Instagram, I'll tag them in there and just for people to know. But don't you think sometimes when you tag people in your posts, competition sees that and competition wants to override you by going in there themselves? Have you ever had that sort of occasion or situation where you've seen that happen to yourself?
competition with other bloggers or other
Other
brands.
bloggers, other fashion artists, I mean, who are into the fashion designing industry?
Yes, so I think there is a lot of competition. I think a lot of people think that blogging and having an Instagram account is easy, and it's not. I work very, very long days. I'm, doing everything to make the business run.
Of
But I
course.
think there always is like a little bit of competition because there's only so many jobs, and then you have, so many new bloggers coming into this atmosphere every single day. So I think that it's really important to make yourself stand out. And for me, I think that my style in general really stands out because I haven't seen anyone else really doing that.
So I was just going to get there, like you've captured your niche, right, within this market, like within the
Yeah.
fashion industry. If someone were looking for flower patterns on their skirts and that fairy tale moment in their life, they would possibly contact you and get your designs or whatever, get that inspiration from you of how you've done it. You mentioned that you take out a lot of time and you spend a lot of time on your social media platform every
Yeah,
day.
too
I
much.
do that as well. I do that as well. But I want to know, how many hours do you spend on there?
Oh gosh, on everything or just on Instagram?
You can be specific to Instagram, or you can just your day's work. How many hours does it involve of blogging, posting, speaking
Well,
to brands, all that? What's your day like, and how many hours do you put into your day to see? I mean, right now you've got like 200,000 plus follows on your Instagram. So,
hmm
I mean, it must have taken a huge time for you to get there, to get those 200,000 followers. So, how much work do you put in, and what sort of work do you put in to get there?
I put in a lot. And I should mention that I didn't start getting paid until 2 years after I started my blog. So it's definitely, and Instagram. So it's definitely a labor of love. I feel like if it's something you're passionate about and it's something that you truly want to do, then you have to be willing to do it for free and put in the time. And I've definitely put in a lot of time. So every single day is different. Usually I wake up about 6 a.m. and I kind of just relax for a little bit, and then I start working at 7 a.m. And my husband gets home about maybe 5 p.m. And so I stop my work day at that time. And then
Okay,
once he goes to bed, maybe like 9 at night, then I finish up my work. And since I
and
don't
that's
get to bed until midnight. Yeah, so
wow.
it just depends on the day. Sometimes, if I'm doing really well, like with my time management, then once he gets home, like that's the end of my work day too, and then I can relax. But
Okay,
right now, I've been doing a lot of different projects, so I'm just kind of putting in a lot of time updating my blog and with my newsletter and then with my YouTube channel. So I have a lot going on, so I'm putting a little
so
bit
you're
more
you're
time in.
like you're like totally social media focused right now with whatever you're doing in that.
Yeah, so
That's
12
the
hour
same with me.
days.
This is where I'm trying to get at as well. And this is why the whole point of doing these live sessions, to make people aware that, look, there are people like this who are sharing that knowledge of how they do it, of how they go out and put in that hard work. People think that growing an Instagram profile is like, yeah, pay someone, get the followers in, and that's it. No, it's not that. You've got to put in your time. You've got to treat it like your baby, right? I mean,
Yes.
I'm sure you would agree with that in terms of what you do. So, coming back to fashion, we
hmm
spoke about the brands that you how you go out and pitch them. What's the sort of what's the aim that you want to get to? Where do you stop? I mean, no one stops in business. Let's get that straight.
That's
But
true.
the point is, where would you think that, yep, that's where I want to be, so that I can say that I've achieved everything in life so far?
Having my own line.
And when do you think that that line will be out there?
Um,
Have you been
I don't
speaking to
know.
designers, and have you been speaking to companies about that to get your own line out there?
I have, and I have looked into it myself to see how to do it because there really isn't a roadmap on how to have your own fashion line. Um, but I will say that it's a lot of work and it costs a lot of money. And so I feel like there's a few things that I need to do first in order to achieve where I want to be, if that
Of
makes
course,
sense. Like I'm
of
not
course.
completely there yet, but I'm on my way, if that
That's
makes sense.
absolutely, I mean, what you're saying right now in terms of, like, we can see, I mean, I can see the amount of hard work that you're putting into your posts, and because it's not just posting something, it's actually providing that content of what matches the post, right? So putting all of that stuff together it's time consuming and it's money consuming, because you've got to go out there, you have got to choose the right dress, for example, the right photo area, all that kind of stuff. So how do you put it, how do you come about that, okay, today I'm going to be posting this fashion line, this dress that I have created. How do you take that forward with your blogging and posting?
A lot of, well, I have an editorial calendar.
Okay,
So basically, a lot of organization. I try to schedule at least 1 month in advance. So I have post ideas for the blog, and I have a running master list, so I never run out of ideas. And then
okay.
for Instagram, I try to incorporate like what I'm doing on the blog, or sometimes I will just kind of just do it like last minute. It just depends on what I'm going for in that moment. Like sometimes, something happens, like a world event or something, and so I feel the need to post about that. So it's a mix of scheduled items and then also more organic content. And I forgot to answer your question about how long it takes to do a post, because this
Yeah.
will probably blow people's minds. For one Instagram post, putting into account the styling, the shooting, the editing, and then the promoting, it probably takes maybe 4 to 5 hours for one post.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's not something I
Yeah.
put in. But possibly I don't need that. I mean, I deal with property, so it's just
I think most people
posting
don't.
the exactly. I mean, with fashion, you've got to wear your dress or your clothes. You've got to have the right setting behind. You've got to edit it the right way so
Mhm.
that it appeals to people. So I'm sure that, yeah, 4 to 5 hours, I can imagine. Um, are you just talking in terms of your fashion line? Are you just talking to brands in the US, or you're talking to brands like in the UK or in the Middle East, Far East, all these places, or you're just concentrating on the US market right now?
All over the world. I
Okay,
have a lot of US brands I work with, but I also work with a lot of brands in Australia and the UK. So they're
okay,
based everywhere.
okay. Any in particular in the UK that you would like to mention,
Um,
or you're under contract?
oh no, I've worked with Chi Chi London a lot. They have lots of really cute girly frilly dresses. And there's been a few other like smaller brands, and then I also work with a few PR agencies over there for more higher end brands.
Okay. And they've what do they do with you? I mean, do they put your fashion line out there, or they actually tell you to come and promote their dresses? How does it work with these agencies or these brands?
Yeah, so with any brand collaboration, what they'll do is they will basically send you an item of clothing to style and promote. So they send me the clothes, and then I'll style it with my own jewelry or shoes or handbag or whatever. And then what I do is I kind of try to think of a location that would look good with the outfit. I mean, right
Okay.
now we are still stuck at home, so I've been creating my own backgrounds, and that's been working well. But normally we do outdoor shoots, and so I would have a place in mind, like, oh, this outfit would look great here, depending on the colors or how, like, if it's a more casual outfit or if it's more dressy. And then we'll shoot, edit, and then I'll post and promote for the brand
So there's a
across
lot
all
of
platforms.
there's a lot of work that you put in within that time. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
it's fine that okay, a brand calls you up and tells you that okay, we want you to promote this dress, but then how you promote that dress or how you promote that particular clothing line is the time and effort that you put in with choosing the right background. It's so inspiring to know about these things. I mean, I've never done a live session with a fashion designer, but now I can know the amount of work that a fashion designer has to put to get that one dress to be appealing to the mass public out there. And
Yes.
coming to this mass public, do you does your brand or your clothing line appeal to everyone, or someone that's just particularly looking for maybe their 16th birthday or that sort of fairy tale dressing sort of maybe they're going for a a school drama or whatever. I mean, do everyone come and talk to you about your clothing line, or you have specific clients for that?
Yeah, so when working with brands, I try to keep in mind my specific style and aesthetic and niche because the way that my feed is and my blog like it's all like the same style, and so I use a lot of the same colors and they convey a certain mood. And so for me that's really important to convey through photos. I'm not taking a photo just to take a photo. It's really as an escape or to get a message across, or there's a lot of different reasons. But I think with my style being so specific, I do attract a very specific
Like,
audience. And so I try to work with brands that I think that my audience would love. And then when I have my own line someday, it will be, similar enough to where my followers will also be my customers. Does that
of
make
course,
sense?
of course.
Yeah.
And this audience, I mean, the age range, do you know their ages that from where they range up to? Like, let's say from the ages of five,
Yeah.
maybe.
So,
I'm sure. I mean, if I open your profile in front of my two daughters today, they are going to be wow. It's going to be
aw, thank you.
yeah, like you could start your clothing line tomorrow, for example. But
Thank you.
but what do your audience the age range between?
Yeah, so I have a pretty big range. For Instagram, it's younger, and then for my blog, it's a little bit older. So I would say for Instagram, the majority is like 18 to 34, and then
Okay.
for my blog, it's just a little bit older, so like 25 to maybe 40. And the other platforms, I'm not so sure because
Okay.
I haven't looked at the analytics.
That is fine. Um, have you set a target to when you want your clothing line out there?
Yeah, so I'm hoping within the next 2 to 3 years, I can start working on it.
Okay.
I
And
know
that
it's kind of like a
process.
long process,
I'm
and
sure
I
it
want to
is.
make sure that I find the right team to work with on it,
Of course.
and I want to make sure that I'm ready. And right now, something that's really important to me, more than like following number or anything like that, I think it's really important to have a community where you have a genuine and authentic connection with them, because not only are they going to trust you with your recommendations, but if you ever come out with a product, then they're going to be the first ones to buy that. And so
Absolutely.
I am still, I mean, I have like a really loyal and dedicated community, but I'm, still kind of, I guess, nurturing that a little bit. And
I mean, like we say it, right? All in good time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So no rush at all. The stars will align.
Absolutely. But it's been a pleasure to speak to you on here on this live session. Thank you so much for sharing immense knowledge within the fashion industry. I mean, what it takes to be a fashion blogger, a fashion designer, or promoting your techniques, your fashion what do you call it? Your fashion aspiration, I guess,
Yeah.
within your posts. So thank you so much for coming on here and sharing that knowledge with us. But before you go, I do this with all my guests that come on here, and I ask them to give a positive advice to maybe the viewers out here who are listening today, the viewers who are going to see this at a later date, and to the world. What positive advice would you like to share with them so that they can take that on board? And whether they are in the fashion industry, the art industry, the music industry, or business, property, whatever, they can take that positive advice on board and move forward in life.
Yeah. Okay. So I have two. I would say the first one is to not give up on your dream, whatever that is. I know that sometimes there's roadblocks. And so what I say for that is just try a different way and just try something until it works and keep pushing forward, because anything worth having is going to be a lot of work, but it'll be worth it in the end. And then the second piece of advice I would say is just to be yourself. I feel like authenticity is few and far between these days, and that's something that's really important to me. And I try to be authentic for other people, but I think it's really important to just be yourself and not try to be like other people. because we're all unique, and that's what makes us special.
Absolutely. But thank you so much. I asked for one, I got two. Wow, amazing. It's like buy one, get one free today. It's Friday. But thank you so much for coming on here and sharing that with us. It was an absolute pleasure to host you today.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, Lizzie. Take care. And
Okay, bye.
hopefully I'll see you in London with
Yeah,
your own
I'll
clothing
be
line.
there.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that was Elizabeth Eugene, who runs Lizzie and Lace, who is a fashion blogger. We spoke all about her fashion line, her clothing line, and where she wants to be. I mean, where she aims to be in life. Absolutely amazing. I wish her all the best in that. Thank you to all the viewers that tuned in. It's Friday. Go out and enjoy, and hope you have an amazing weekend. So take care, and I shall see you back again on Monday on an amazing live session. I'm still waiting for confirmation, but it should be absolutely amazing. I'll send out the details soon. So enjoy. Take care. Bye bye.